Guys, today I want to talk to you about a big improvement I've seen in my own 10K performance over the last 6 months. I think there's a number of things that I've applied to my more recent running training, which have been valuable not only to my own fitness and improvement, but also my strength, my confidence going forward that I think can do the same for you. So let's check that out now. All right, so last Sunday I ran my first 10K race that I've ran in about 7 years. My last race was 2018 Melbourne Marathon, which was a negative experience that I won't get into in this particular video. But in the process of getting ready for a marathon in about 7 or 8 months' time, slightly less now, I've started to gradually step up my training and also started to put a couple of races on the race calendar to get me ready for my goal of running around 240 for the marathon, hopefully in Melbourne later this year. Now, for anyone who's been at Relaxed Running for any amount of time, you'll know that last year I struggled severely with calf strains and constant injuries, and there was a few reasons for that. Namely, the volume and intensity of the training that I was doing was too much for where my body was at. So if you want to learn more about that particular journey, I'll link a video to that just here. But now I want to share with you a couple of things that I've applied in recent months, which have allowed me to get nearly 20 weeks of consistent running done, gradually building up the volume and the intensity, but namely the volume. Now, my motivation for a number of the changes that I'm about to speak about come from people like Gordo Byrne and Phil Maffetone, who have got a really rich history in the world of endurance sports. But with all of that said, these are the 4 key strategies that I've changed with my own running, which have produced the biggest results. The first thing is starting with less than you think. Now, this is something that on a basic level, we understand is right. Sure, we don't want to just go out and start training like an Olympic marathon runner if we're relatively new to the sport. My problem was I used to run at a relatively higher level and I'd had a big break in between, and the only knowledge I had around the sport was, I guess you just build up roughly to where you were. It had been one of the most humbling learning experiences of my life. So starting literally from a minute of jogging, 4 minutes of walking times 6, I gradually built up the distance of running that I was doing until at this point in time, my calf strength was improved. The one thing that had constantly limited my ability to actually get out there and run was these constant calf issues, which I've talked about in other videos. But then from there, I got to a point of running up to 4 days a week where I was running around 40 kilometers to 50 kilometers a week. Now, Gordo Byrne said, start at this low volume and prove to yourself that your body can handle it over a 10-week period. If it can, that's when you can add an additional 8 to 10 kilometer run into your week. And that's exactly what I did. It took patience, it took humility, but over the course of that 10 weeks, my strength improved, my fitness improved, and even without the intensity at this stage, just 4 days of really light jogging, I started to notice some significant fitness breakthroughs when it came to the heart rate that I was holding for the amount of distance and speed that I was actually running. This is a crucial ingredient for laying a foundation. Start with less than you think and gradually build up. Now, the second point ties in beautifully with the first point, and that is consistency. You can only be consistent with your running if the training that you're doing is, first of all, within the realms of what your body can handle, and second of all, you're actually offering your body the opportunity to recover in between sessions. So how did I actually do this? Well, for me specifically, the one adjustment that I made when I did after 10 weeks start incorporating a little more faster tempo style running into my schedule, I made a rule that I would only be doing one of those higher heart rate sessions each week. So for me, that started at around 20 minutes of tempo running, which the goal was to keep relatively comfortable. I didn't want to be exhausted. I didn't want my body to be under too much stress. I simply wanted to provide myself with the opportunity of gradually increasing the speed and the intensity and the distance that I was running. This was a really good breakthrough in my fitness, but the truth was it was only a breakthrough because I managed to tie together week after week after week of this style of running. If you're an athlete who's constantly struggling with fatigue or injury or just constant niggles, perhaps have a look at not only the volume and intensity that you're running, but the frequency of the intense sessions that you can handle. Perhaps bring back the intensity in the name of consistency, because a lot can be achieved even with less intensity in your week if you do it consistently over a long period of time. The third thing that has been a really big focus of mine and a significant change in my own training in recent months is a focus on heart rate training. Sure, I know it's a real buzzword at the moment, but the reason for that is there's some really good science and good evidence that suggests that actually focusing on your heart rate can keep you within the limits of where you should be for that particular workout. Now, one thing that I said is an overcommitment to intensity is one reason that so many athletes deal with niggles and injuries along the way. And a great way to navigate or at least alleviate some of these niggles is by making sure that the intensity of your so-called easy runs are done at a level which your heart rate also suggests is easy. If you're going out there and you're just calling it an easy run, but you're running at zone 3 or 4 of your maximum heart rate, then there's only going to be a certain amount of time that you're able to do this consistently until you start dealing with plateaus, fatigue, injury, niggles, all the things we've already discussed. So I would really encourage you, if you're not familiar with heart rate zones, you're not familiar with where you should be at a particular session, get clear with this. Clarify, what is it that today's session is supposed to do? Is it simply a recovery session? Keep that heart rate low, keep it relaxed. Is today more of an intense session? Well, that's where we can start to up it a little bit. And the last thing we cannot overstate the importance of to round us out is patience. Unfortunately, all good things take time to build, and you might have a specific, clear, and committed focus on all of the things that we've spoken about, and yet still, it's going to take time to see the results that you want to see. Your goal should be not to rush to the results you want to see, but keep putting in the work to get to where it is that you're aiming for. And eventually, if you can do this daily, consistently, the results that you want to see are going to start to become more realistic. If you've got any questions, concerns, comments, please let me know in the description below. For more, we offer coaching to athletes of all levels over at Relax Running. You can get that by hitting the link in the description below. Let's continue the conversation down there. Happy training, and I'll see you here again next week.